Is it worth buying and replacing my fleet of Class 08s with the new Bachmann one? Hey there, great to see you. Hope you are well. I'm Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard. And today we're taking a look at what promises to be one of the hottest new releases. It is, of course, the all-new tooled Bachmann Class 08 shunter. And I think a lot of people have been looking forward to this. And it's something that I suppose was inevitable it would come. The original Bachmann Class 08 was released in 2000, one of the inaugural models in their blue ribboned range. And I suppose it shows just how far ahead of the time it was that model has persisted for, well, now 25 years, still holding its head high above the water. Even with a competitor from Hornby arriving a couple of years later, the Bachmann 08 still looked just as good next to it, and a lot of people's fleets incorporate models from both marques. But with this all-new tooled Bachmann 08 coming onto the market and promising to have absolutely nothing in its heritage from the previous tooling, it was time to see whether this is the point at which, with some degree of trepidation, you should be looking to replace your entire fleet with the latest tooled model. We've seen this with a few other different classes of locomotives. I can think of the Class 37s, 47s, 60s, 50s, and a whole lot more besides. There's always a new model coming up, and sometimes the new model blows it out of the water, and you look at the old ones and think, time to get rid. But in the case of the Bachmann 08, is it time to get rid of the old tooling, or is this something that sits quite nicely alongside it? Well, that's precisely what I'm going to be looking to do in today's video. You've probably already seen a whole host of straight up review videos online, so I'm not really going to add to the chatter with that. What I can do instead is take this model and compare it quite critically to the older Bachmann tooling and also the Hornby tooling, and ask that all important question: is this a model that I should be buying? Is it going to replace my existing fleet, or is it something that will supplement it rather than completely push it to one side? Like I said before, there is an affiliate link down below. If you like the models coming through, do go and check it out. There may be a few available, but we do recommend you pre-order some of the forthcoming models if you can do, because quite frankly, these have proven to be so popular they're sold out at Bachmann and sold out at a lot of model shops. So whatever the outcome of this video, it must be said that the buying public has voted with their bank accounts and actually purchased these in their droves.
Shut up and take my money!
But let's go and take a good close look and see whether it matches up to its predecessor. As we go through this video, as always, do hit that like button. It's a great way of upping the profile of the video with the algorithm over on YouTube. All hail that algorithm. Oh yeah, he's a funky dancer. And do consider as well sharing it to social media if you wish. And as always, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, it's great to do so, free to do, and it makes sure that you stand a good chance of seeing future videos as they come on up. But let's get on and take a good close look. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. We're proud to be supported by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for new and used. Pre-order all forthcoming models with confidence, or check out the extensive listings of second-hand. Each model is checked by experts in the field to make sure you're getting the very best. With new models uploaded daily, there's always something new to find. You can also specify from their value weathering and renumbering service right through to bespoke graffiti to get exactly the model that you want. Get something special today by browsing at themodelcentre.com. For me, this has probably been the model that I've been most excited about so far this year that had been already announced. I've actually had a couple of these on pre-order, which is rather unusual for me. I don't tend to pre-order a massive amount, and certainly when I do, having two of the same type of locomotive is practically unheard of, but I do love my Class 08s. So Bachmann has announced and actually delivered now the all-new tooled Class 08 shunter, and there's already a plethora of videos on YouTube going over a full review of these models, what they look like, blah blah blah, and I thought, you know what, why would I bother doing another of those sorts of videos? So instead, what I'm actually really going to focus on is comparing it to, firstly, the Hornby Class 08, which is probably about a good 20 years plus old on the market, but also, of course, the previous tooled versions of the Class 08 that there's been so many of from Bachmann. And really, I think the biggest question that anybody wants to know is, do I need to replace my old models and buy all new, or actually does it fit in quite well? And this is always the big question. An all-new tooled model comes along. Does it render the old one completely and utterly anachronistic? So that's what I'm going to focus on. I will say this is not a review sample. I have paid for this from a model shop. And there we go. So getting it out of the box, it's pretty much the same sort of packaging. Oh, I will show you the end here. Now, the first three of these have come from Bachmann, and I do like the fact that they're releasing these in waves. So then, you know, if you've ordered more than one like I have, then unless all the ones you've ordered are in the same wave of releases, then actually you're doing okay. And this is probably down to manufacturing reasons. The factory will process 3 different livery examples, get them all done and dusted, and then start again with probably another 3 releases, and so on, rinse and repeat. So this one is 35-910, and this is the provincial revised livery as 08761. You can also see that it now has a Plux 22 DCC socket, and I don't know, I have mixed feelings about models going towards the Plux standard, and I do understand why they're doing it. I think with extra auxiliary functions, that is something that we're going to see more and more of and is necessary. The 21 pin just isn't quite cutting it. And Next 18 would probably have been what they would have otherwise fitted in here. You just can't seem to get enough of the auxiliary functions. So I understand it, and you know, if the industry standardizes on everything having a Plux socket, actually that could be no bad thing. Now we've got some information here with it. All of the front buffer beam details, that's all in this bag. That is an extra. We didn't have that before with the Bachmann 08, and they're all pre-coloured. We've got a full description of where they go, and that's great, I have to say. I do like that. That is an extra which has not been offered before from Bachmann. Then we've also got this super easy DCC fitting, and there's some information on the light switches, and figure 10 actually alludes to the fact that there are other versions to come with more running lights. And actually I think the picture here shows extra lights. I think that might be on the Class 09s, which are forthcoming. So one of the reasons it's got the Plux decoder socket is to be able to cope with all of this. Now we've got a bank of 4 switches. So I will look into that, but actually out of the box it does seem to run quite well. I have had it test run. I did that as soon as I got it, and I am actually really quite pleased. Now, if you're expecting some great revelation of, oh, how dare they fob us off with this, blah, 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 you're looking at the wrong video. I'm sure you'll find another channel that will shamelessly rip apart these models for the views, but actually that's disingenuous on the model. Now, if we completely ignore these two up here and we look just at this model, this is a superb model of the Class 08. Now, with the first 3 releases, I think they're all similar build batches. So what that... Ooh, already we've run into a problem. My whistle, that is interesting. That's actually come off. Let me compare that with the old one, where that is metal. Can I just say, Bachmann, when you inevitably watch this to see what I have to say, the old 08 whistle here on the front, and that is very robust. This is quite an old model, one of the earlier releases, and that hasn't broken. My whistle's just fallen apart here on camera, and yeah, so that is a retrograde step, it must be said. I'll try and repair that later on, but that is a shame. Retrograde step from the previous version. I've just had an email from Richard Proudman from Bachmann, who's pointed out that the whistles on this model are actually made of metal. They've been made scale thickness, and that's why they're very springy, very prone to breaking because of that scale thickness. So I'd like to thank Richard for putting me straight even before the video went out. So I am getting this in here. And he also pointed out something else, which even the spares department didn't seem to know when I tried to get a spare part sent out, which they have actually sent out. There is a spare whistle in the detail bag. Bachmann recognised that this is quite fragile, so you do get a spare, and I have now fitted that to the model, but do be very careful. But everything else about this, we've got a lot more detail. Let's compare it to, and I've picked this one specifically, even though it's an older release, from the Bachmann tooling, because 08762 and 08761, these are adjacent running numbers, so they should be from the same build batch, which means detail-wise, these should be pretty much identical. Big areas that have changed: the steps. We've also got a lot more detail. You see all this pipe work going on here, extra picked out detail. The rods look to be about the same, and I have had a debate about this with Iron Horse Railways.
I hope you're alright now then.
And these are definitely finer. They're not the same rods. If anybody's wondering, oh, if they just carried over parts, no, they haven't. They are finer. We've got the kind of oiling nipples. The oil boxes on the top are much, much closer to what they should be at the top. And I've spent ages looking at prototype photographs.
Move in hands.
And I'm still coming to the conclusion that the Hornby model got the rods better, certainly than the original Bachmann 08, but also they're still better than these. I understand Bachmann have gone for slightly thicker rods for robustness, and that can be very important. Indeed, I have bought second-hand Hornby 08s where these rods have buckled and bent through whatever reason, poor treatment. They are still available as spares for the wheel sets and rods, so you can repair them, but you think, well, I shouldn't have to, but you don't know what people have done before you've got hold of it cheaply second-hand. Now, comparing the old Bachmann to the new Bachmann, all of this underframe detail is so much better. These front steps as well, really, really nice. The rest of this detail, what it's telling me actually, is the old Bachmann 08 was light years ahead of its time. Came out, and I think it was 2000. This was an incredible model, and I think you probably agree, looking at both of these next to each other, that still holds its own next to that. These body side grills are different, and I like what they've done. They are a much nicer representation on the new model, but actually on the old model, still not too bad. Also, the cabinets on the side, there's a subtle, but it's there nonetheless, difference between I think these were the exhausters for the vacuum brake, possibly. Never quite 100% sure what's in all of these, but there's a lot of variation, different 08s. And the old tooling, I'm just going to reach over here and show you, the old tooling Bachmann, they actually did have the means to correctly model different 08s, you see, with the different body side cabinets, which was one of the great features of this, and I fully expect to see that replicated in this new version. But all of this pipework detail here, missing from the old Bachmann 08, but it's there on the Hornby 08. And in terms of price, the Hornby 08 on the market, they're coming in as cheaper than the new Bachmann one. They don't have lights, that must be said. And they do have the flicky open doors, which I always found a bit gimmicky, but it does mean that, if I can find my Class 10, it does mean on the Hornby model, you can put a man in the cab, which is something you can't really do without a lot of surgery on the Bachmann version. On the top of the bonnet, there's a lot more detail up here at the top of the radiator. So we've got the radiator filler I'm not sure if it is a separate piece, but it's definitely got much more definition in the tooling. Again, we've got these lifting eyes either side are there. These are all separately fitted, probably etched brass. There's a lot going on there which just doesn't look like it's there at all, and these are adjacent running numbers, so the reason I've chosen this one is that it should give us a nice close match to the detail. Now I'm going to have a look at the Hornby one, and that does have a lot more of this detail. It's got the lifting eyes and it's got all those extra bits. The radiator cap is just a sort of a relief detail, but we also have these eyelets for the bonnet side ladders. These were removed later on to stop railway workers from getting close to the overhead line equipment, which could have been quite a shocking thing if they got in close contact with that. So these ladders were removed later in life, but there was evidence that they had been there. Now, that is on the Hornby model. It's not on the old Bachmann model, and yeah, that's just completely clear on there. And there's actually holes there at the bottom. They are for, on the earlier releases of these in like the BR Green livery, these actually had ladders fitted as separate parts. I'm just looking, what is there? You know, there's nothing like that on the Hornby model. And then going to the new Bachmann one, we just have the mounting points at the bottom where the ladder would have been removed. And it's a nice little detail that is there. Right, looking to the front, I want to compare the front face, and you can immediately see that the loops in the radiator are much more defined. They look like separate pieces, which is exactly what they would be on the actual locomotive. The older Bachmann tooling has these in the closed position. I think these are radiator blinds, so in winter, for example, you could shut these to stop overcooling of the prime mover, but it is a bit of a cop-out to mould them in that position, because actually a lot of the time the locomotive would have run with these open to maintain the airflow. We've also got what appears to be a lamp bracket in the centre. That's not on the previous version, but what's interesting is actually 08762 features that full array of lamps which the instructions allude to, but 08761 correctly to the prototype features just the two lower lamps, and these are functional. Huge big upgrade from one to the other. Now you can also see on those body side cabinets there's just difference of position as well on, I think that's like a step at the front, and it's much lower on the older Bachmann tooling. And then looking towards the front buffer beam, it looks slightly deeper, and then we've also got those large cutouts there for hooks for body lifts. You'd hook in the overhead crane there and be able to lift it effectively off its wheels. They're much subtler on the new version, and again the rivet detail looks much subtler too. So all in all, there's definitely subtle differences, but better differences. Now I will now compare to the Hornby one, and this did have it moulded with those louvres open on the radiator blind. This version has the same pattern of lamps as the new Bachmann model. So overall, what it says to me, and actually that buffer beam is the same depth with slightly less pronounced lifting holes, I think it's safe to say that Hornby did an incredibly good job. Sprung buffers, new one obviously sprung buffers as well. The old one though always had sprung buffers, so there you have it. Looking down the other side, you can see one of the big issues with the older tooling is that these little things, these actually got damaged a lot, and when you see most of my 08s, I've looked after them, but these do tend to get damaged, so that is definitely an area. These are much more substantial by the look of it, and much closer to prototype. Now I'm just going to try and move these so I can fit them all on screen. The Hornby version, again, they did it. What is striking me is that the Hornby version was very, very good. And I guess Hornby, when they brought it out, they were competing with Bachmann, who'd just brought out this a couple of years previously, so they had to do something special, and they delivered. The new Bachmann version brings this up past the Hornby version, but not by a huge amount. And I'm still brought back to looking at these rods, looking slightly oversized on the new release. It's probably not helped. This livery has the orange cranks, and that makes it look just a little bit odd. But that is prototypically accurate. We've also got these plastic body side grab rails. Those feel a lot more substantial than the old Bachmann ones. These were prone to getting damaged, and actually much more substantial than on the Hornby model. Now the Hornby model, on these body side, these are sort of grab rails. This should be in 2 separate pieces. Hornby got that right. The Bachmann one is a single piece, which is wrong. The new version corrects that. So that's 2 separate pieces. So that's really nice. All of these are metal. And now the livery application on this new model, it's a bit difficult to compare these because I'm not aware that they ever did, and neither Bachmann nor Hornby ever did a provincial livery 08 before. So this is new. It's one of the reasons it attracted me to this livery. I do quite like it. It's as close as you're going to get to a regional railways class 08 shunter. These handrails are metal. Now originally, on the earlier release Bachmann ones, these were plastic, very prone to getting broken, waste of space. And actually, one of the things that I've done on this, actually that's still the original plastic. Those are the original plastic on there. That has survived well. I have so looked after that. But on the other side, these have been replaced by metal. It's an easy repair job. Now looking to the Hornby one, those were metal from the outset. So that's a good upgrade, but actually they'd already done a sort of midlife upgrade on the 08 for that. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
Now, DCC Fitting, both the Hornby and the older Bachmann ones, you had to take the body off. Has to be said, easier to do on the older Bachmann one, more space inside the older Hornby one. Both of these, 8-pin if you get the DCC ready ones. The earlier ones weren't DCC ready, but same internal layout. Super easy to hardwire. I've done loads of them. I can hardwire one of these, the earlier ones, probably almost as quick as I can just do a regular DCC fit. It is super easy, and there are bargains to be had. But this new one, what we've got is a lift-off roof panel, and this just unclips, pulls out. The design on this, we've got 2 clips at the back. They do look a bit rough and ready, and that looks like, I don't know, to me it looks like it's strained a little bit. You can see the lighter colour on the plastic, but that does feel... No, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, the body roof has these lifting eyes. These are offset, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The Hornby model did that really well, and actually so did the older Bachmann model. We've got a finer roof detail, but you know, what it's really showing to me is just how good the old Bachmann model was. And you know, after 25 years, the tooling was probably worn out, to be honest with you. Now we've got dip switches in here which allow us to set all of the lighting functions. To be honest, if you're on DC, then you can delve into that magical realm of flipping dip switches to get what lights you want on at what times. And the fact that this roof is removable means that you can actually do that on a hot swap basis as and when need prevails. But the DCC Fitting, this is super easy. Now it's got a factory fitted speaker, whether it actually comes factory fitted or not, which is really good. I think, you know, that's the way ahead. You don't have to mess about trying to find where to put the speaker. With the old Bachmann model, good luck with that. Probably ended up in the cab, and yeah, if you look through the windows, you could see that. With a fully detailed cab interior, that really is a waste, especially as this has got a cab light. There was no lighting whatsoever on the Hornby one, but it was set up for sound with space behind the radiator grille for the speaker, and that actually did mean that a sound decoder, speaker and a small stay alive was practical in the Hornby version, whereas the best I ever got with the older Bachmann was regular decoder and stay alive could just be fitted in with careful choice of parts. We're completely in new territory with this. This is a major upgrade for the better. As you can see, I've just taken the Plux 22 blanking plate out. What is interesting, so we appear to be missing a pin. Not sure what's gone on there. It's like they've ground it down. I wonder if that's the pin that on the DCC decoder would actually control the stay alive. There is an onboard stay alive, but good luck using that with any other brand of decoder. The reason I say this is simply because I can't get it to work, and I've tried Tramfabriek, I've tried AE, I've tried a few other brands of decoder, and it is set up to, if you buy the sound fitted version, then boom, works out the box with that fitted stay alive. It's a great function, but unless you're buying the Bachmann setup decoder, it isn't really going to work. Although what is interesting, as I've seen there, there's a solder tabs for the capacitors on there. Now, I'm not going to risk breaking my model by experimenting, but it would be interesting to know whether you could solder a fly lead to those and then connect that to the decoder and then actually use the onboard stay alive. It's something that maybe somebody more technically minded than me with the electricery might want to explore. But what I have found is, and this is the combo that I've been using, we do recommend the Tramfabriek. You can buy from the links down below. I don't have a Plux 22 decoder to hand, but I have been checking through my stash, and I do have the power pack here, albeit pre-fitted to a 21-pin decoder. And yeah, see, that's not going to fit in there along with the actual decoder itself. But Tramfabriek do sell smaller capacitors for stay alives, and it's just simply a case of picking the ones that you want. Now, if you want to go down simple clunk click every trip route, I've got an AE decoder here that I already had in stock. Make sure these pins line up. I mean, it sounds like a silly thing to say, but you wouldn't believe the number of locos I've seen. People go, it's not working. And what they've actually done is done exactly what I've done there. This is the downside of Plux. Plux is super easy to actually plug it in wrong. There we go. So move it over by one, and that's in. And the tentacle stay alives, these do fit. Just tuck the control board down there and those two in there. And then all we need to do, make sure that's the right way around. I do like with this, you've got the lugs at one end and a lip at the other. So getting it the wrong way round is, well, I don't know, somebody will try and succeed and break it. But for us mere mortals who don't possess the strength of the Incredible Hulk and the temper attached to them, then actually it's super easy to get that the right way round, and then we're done and dusted. That now has a stay alive. It's using the extra one I plugged in. And what I will say is the onboard stay alive, if you have the factory sound fitted, boom, excellent, it's there, it works. If you buy and set up the Bachmann approved stay alive, boom, it will work. Your mileage may well vary in a not quite so favourable way with other brands of decoders, but as I've just proven there, you can get a stay alive in if you really want to. On the layout, when it's running though, that's where this really does come into its own. The older Bachmann 08 did have a few issues. You had to really keep the wheel contacts clean, and it does, at very slow speeds, very much benefit from a stay alive if you can fit one in. This, I actually found, before I fitted the stay alive, that it ran pretty well. We've got wiper pickups on the back of all 6 wheels. It's a shame in a way that we've not got a more reliable pickup system, but that is definitely more reliable than the wipers that used to go on the top of the wheel treads. There was only a few places on the layout where it stuttered at very low speed, and certainly the lights didn't flicker going round, and I only really fitted the stay alive for peace of mind and for a couple of insel frog points that are notorious on Weir Yard for just hanging up various short wheelbase locomotives. It was super smooth, even down to a very low speed. I love the cab light. Something which we don't have with either of the old versions is a fully detailed cab interior. In fact, it's an exquisite cab interior. It's just a shame that we can't easily get a driver figure in there. Now, I have looked in the instructions and I can't find any reference to getting the body off, which appears to be what you'd have to do. I have heard rumours that the cab itself just pulls off, but I can't find a way of doing it. Don't want to break it, so I'm not going to try too hard. I suspect there's some screws that need to come off, but all in all, it's not the end of the world. There was no driver figure with either of these. The Hornby one's a lot easier to fit a driver figure in, and you can get into the cab for the others, but definitely we are massively upgraded there. Now, looking at the pure nuts and bolts, is it worth buying and replacing my fleet of Class 08s with the new Bachmann one? The short answer is no. It certainly wouldn't replace any of your previous either Hornby or the Bachmann older tooling Class 08s. These, as you can see here, sit quite well next to each other. No issues. You're not going to look at them and think, oh, that looks really poor compared to that. It's a much more refined model, but it will still hold its own. When it comes to the pricing point, I'm finding these, if you can still get one, we do have an affiliate link down below, but be very much in mind, if you didn't pre-order, then you're going to struggle to find one of these new Bachmann 08s. They've proven to be very, very popular indeed. But 170 something and change for the DCC Ready, it is substantially more than what you would find the others. I can find brand new Hornby 08s in fact, I have a feeling, if I look around, one of the versions that you can actually get is this, and it comes in at about £20 less than the new tool DCC Ready Bachmann, but you don't get lights and you don't get the pre-fitted speakers. There's a lot that you don't get. The Hornby model was always notoriously more expensive. Now, on the second-hand market, I'm finding these down to, well, £60 for a decent but unboxed example. You pay your money, you cut your cloth accordingly. I personally will still be picking up old tooling Bachmann 08s and also the Hornby 08s as well if they fit the era that I want to model. I have masses of 08s and I'm quite happy to pick up any examples of each of these three tooling and manufacturers, and they will quite happily sit together on your layout. You don't need to rush out and just replace your fleet. So anybody who's been hoping for a glut of older Bachmann 08s hitting the market, I honestly don't think it is going to happen. People are going to keep these and they're going to supplement them with some extras, possibly from this range. And I'm really looking forward to examples coming through of locomotives that have never been offered before. Now, if you add in the Class 09s and also the Class 10s, which outwardly look pretty much the same, you're looking at nearly 1,200 examples of this boxy little locomotive having been made. And I think pretty much all of them ran in at least 2 different livery variants. Some of them carried an awful lot. There is a lot of opportunity to be able to have no further duplication. And I just hope that there will be new runs of these coming out as an almost yearly experience from Bachmann, because the market needs 08s. But overall, good thumbs up. Just fix that whistle. But other than that, I'm actually pretty pleased with the model. The Hornby version still has the better rods. The Bachmann one pips it with the pre-fitted speaker, the lighting, a little bit more crisp definition on some of the detail application, but the Hornby is still a very close second, with a third place quite credible from the earlier Bachmann tooling. I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Leave a comment down below. And from my point of view, I think that this is definitely a great improvement. There's definitely a lot going on over and above versions that we've had before. The lighting is a great addition that we've not seen before. The Plux socket, I'm in two minds about Plux. I can see why they've done it. Not strictly necessary on this version, because even a 6-function decoder is having all of the auxiliary functions it needs to deal with all the lighting functions. But I can see in the manual there's going to be more complex lighting versions coming, and Plux has got that covered. And as an industry standard, if everything goes either Plux 12, Plux 16 or Plux 22, the decoders are interchangeable. I think, in the long term, maybe that's a good thing. The factory fitted speaker is really, really useful. A sound installation after buying is often the hardest part, is finding where to put the speaker, and well, they've sorted that for you. The onboard Stay Alive, I couldn't get it to work with other brands' decoders. So with this, yes, I can see if you buy the factory fitted sound, boom, works out of the box, absolutely perfect. It really does make things nice and simple. If you buy their recommended decoder, a few CV changes, boom, it'll work. Brilliant, there you go. There is plenty of space in there. I got a Stay Alive in, and there's a couple of solder tabs. Very curious what's going on there. Could I solder a fly lead on? Would that then work with any other brand of decoder, bypassing any issues with having to try and do it through the pins of the Plux 22 socket? I honestly don't know, and I'd love to hear from anybody who does work that out. Leave a comment down below, great way of helping out your fellow enthusiasts. But I'm not going to risk breaking my own model, not least because elephant in the room time, it is quite pricey. 170 something pounds for the poverty spec at lots of retailers. We do have an affiliate link down below. If you're lucky, they might still have one or two left, but they are selling really quickly. So price isn't a barrier. People are still prepared to pay that for quality. Is it something that's going to make you replace your previous 08s? I'm going to say that's a very big round fat no. It does stand next to the Hornby and the older Bachmann tooling of the 08s. They don't look out of place next to each other. They'll all sit together, and actually I think it's a supplement to your fleet rather than a replacement for. But again, what are your thoughts on this? Leave me a comment down below. It's always great to hear from you. Please like, share and subscribe. It always feeds that YouTube algorithm. Oh yeah, Al Gore. Look at him dancing. That's the rhythm.
That is the most illogical attitude.
And also we've got the link to the Monday Club badges. It's a great way of showing your love for the channel, getting yourself a great high quality metal and enamel pin badge, and it does open access for you time and time again to getting unique in-person discounts at a range of retailers, as well as museums and preserved railways and so much more. As we always say, support the businesses that support your hobby. And until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling, bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
We're proud to be supported by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for new and used. Pre-order all forthcoming models with confidence, or check out the extensive listings of second-hand. Each model is checked by experts in the field to make sure you're getting the very best. With new models uploaded daily, there's always something new to find. You can also specify from their value weathering and renumbering service right through to bespoke graffiti to get exactly the model that you want. Get something special today by browsing at themodelcentre.com. I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/JenniferKirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.